Howdy folks, I'm Absurd Azalea, anachronistically agitating analog apparatuses.
I'm Amber.
And here are more analog apparatuses for us to anachronically agitate. We're agitating them. What does that even mean, Amber?
Well, yeah, you're just winding up.
I guess we are. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Wanting My Son to Have a More Traditional Wedding to Reflect on His Career Choice? I had a complicated birth with my youngest son, Matt, and I've always had high expectations for him. Matt is still in law school, but he still is insisting on getting married this October. I'm not the biggest fan of his fiancée Amy's idea for her wedding. She decided that she wanted a Halloween marriage, and Amy doesn't care how it looks in front of Matt's peers and professors and other people in his conservative field once he finishes law school. Amy picked out a black dress and somehow got it into her head that she wanted to wear ruby slippers to the wedding since she loved Wicked. I have repeatedly tried to tell Amy to have some respect for Matt's future field, but Amy thinks that it's okay because she does marketing and some of her co-workers are coming to this disaster of a wedding. My oldest daughter dropped out of being a bridesmaid before Amy wanted the red dress, and my daughter thinks that Amy is being tacky and Matt still won't do anything about the wedding and making it more traditional. I tried to talk to him again after the ruby slippers issue, and he told me that maybe the wedding is stressing me out too much and I should skip it. I tried to explain that this kind of tackiness can backfire on his career because when he has his wedding pictures up, people are going to notice his bride in a black dress and question his integrity as a lawyer. Matt has told me that I'm going to be uninvited to his wedding if I continue to make a scene, but I'm just trying to help people see him in a better light. Alright folks, what do you think?
Yes, OP, you are the jerk. Matt and Amy's wedding sounds lovely. It's the exact type of wedding that I would love to go to. I love her ideas for her dress and shoes. Those sound awesome. But how does having a bride in a black dress question someone's integrity as a lawyer?
Well, I mean, I think what she's saying is like his reputation, like he might be known as like the weird guy or
The
something
guy with
like
the
that.
weird wife.
Yeah. And, the thing is that I think that OP is worrying a little too much about this. The workplace isn't quite as formal these days as it once was, right? And if if Matt has a lot of career options and stuff like that, it's not going to really matter what his wedding was like, right?
Yeah, well, and also, he's an adult. He and Amy are both, it sounds like, jointly on board with this wedding idea. Opie's trying to pin it all on Amy, like, oh, she's doing all this stuff, and maybe she's running the show. But it sounds like he has no issues with it,
Mm-hmm.
and he's perfectly fine with this wedding as it is. And he's an adult, Amy's an adult, they can make their own decisions. They don't need mommy to hold their hand and plan their wedding for them.
Exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling My Girlfriend That She Is Too Much of a Wild Card to Marry? And Amber wants to read this one.
I'm a 27-year-old male, and my girlfriend M is a 27-year-old female. She's a bit of a free spirit. Don't get me wrong, she is very intelligent, attractive, and has a lot going for her. We've been together 3 years. But the issue I've been having recently is that she is wanting marriage, and I see her as such an untamable horse, so to speak. She is a rebellious, free-spirited adventurer who literally packs up and leaves to go on a trip at a drop of the hat. She tells me she's going and won't go if there are already commitments, but if she can, she is gone. She is financially secure, but she also spends a lot. Past an emergency fund, all her money goes to travel, taking up a multitude of projects. She woke up one day and decided to enroll in an auto repair course. She is currently getting GIA certified for gemology. She makes jewelry, she works remote, so she will literally pack up and take her work with her when she finds events she wants to go to, etc. She's lived abroad, had a house in the south of France. She speaks 3 languages, goes to Germany and Austria often. She picks up hobbies or skills like they are M&Ms. There isn't anything wrong with it, I guess, but it just feels chaotic. Her biggest flaw is that she is rebellious. She absolutely loathes the traditional route for anything. I went to college and she didn't. She had problems with teachers, which were founded when abused her, but it's widespread. She quits jobs because she manages better. And she does. She has her own business and a host of side hustles, but it's just, how long does it last? She was asking me if I was ever going to propose, and I said I wasn't sure. We argued back and forth a little, and she asked why I wouldn't. I was honest and said I saw her as a wild card, that she just takes off a lot. She said she was lucky and could do that, that her friend died unexpectedly in his 30s, and she absolutely is not going to go out working a boring 9 to 5 with no life and no experiences under her belt. She left and hasn't spoken to me since. It's been 5 days. She said she needed to think. Am I the jerk? Am I overreacting? Edit/update. Just to clarify, because I see a lot of comments and accusations of her flying around. She isn't a bad person, she just likes to be on the move. She's been mentioning marriage/wanting to discuss it from the beginning, or at least 6 to 9 months into our relationship. The expectation was always there, we discussed it. When I asked her if she would slow down or settle, she's always said she just can't imagine not traveling at all. That she's happy to do school runs and live in an area for a long time, but she has a lot of stuff on her bucket list still, like going to Japan and things. I've always countered with, well, what about the kids? She says she wants to give them those sort of experiences and keep them cultured and open-minded, but obviously it depends on them. She functions under different kids need different things. She was abused. Her friend died very tragically, which I won't go into detail about. She has anxiety and CPTSD that is managed, and honestly, you'd never know that she has those things. I only know because she gave me the disclaimer. She doesn't have ADHD. Please stop trying to diagnose her with bipolar or ADHD and leave that to the professionals. I do want to marry her, but it just freaks me out that she is so hyper-independent. She always invites me along, and sometimes I go. I told her I don't want her traveling while pregnant or anything, and she's always been understanding of my point of view. I think I messed up telling her she was a wild card and would be a bad mother/wife by extension. And no, she did not ghost me. She asked for a specific amount of time, and she has been sending 1 or 2 texts just checking in, but she wanted a week to decide how she was feeling, and so I'm giving her the week. She also hasn't had a lot of partners like some people are suggesting. She's been with 2 people. She doesn't drink, smoke, or do drugs at all. Hopefully we can salvage this.
All right, folks, what do you think of this situation?
I mean, I think OP is a jerk for calling her a wild card, and like some of the things he said about her sound pretty demeaning. I understand if this isn't the relationship that he wants. Like, if he wants a very, like, we stay in one place forever and ever and ever, obviously this is not the right woman for him to do that with. But it sounds like there's been an expectation on the table for a very long time that they were going to get married, and he's just all of a sudden out of the blue been like, well, you keep traveling, and, like, I know you're willing to make all these compromises, but that's not enough for me.
So the big problem I have with OP here is that it really feels like they've been having this discussion about getting married for a long time, and now suddenly he's kind of thrown this whole, well, maybe if you settle down and stop being so wild, then I will consider marrying you type of thing, right? That's not how relationships work, or healthy relationships, right? You don't get to change somebody into the person that you want them to be. And that's really what it feels like OP wants, is he wants to settle her and make sure that she's less wild and running around and stuff like that. And maybe this isn't the relationship for OP if that's the person he wants.
Right. You know, I mean, I think it definitely sounds like OP may need to find a different partner, and that's totally fine. But the way he's handling it, like, well, you need to settle down. There are plenty of families that travel. Like, it sounds like she's willing to live in one location and do, like, all the traditional, like, picking up kids stuff and whatnot. But she wants to be able to go on trips still, and that's not an unreasonable ask.
No, I don't think it is. And it seems like, I think, hopefully OP is just getting cold feet over this situation, and maybe, you know, being charitable if he and she sit down to, like, couples counseling, and they can work on talking and communicating, because it sounds like he hasn't been doing a very good job of communication or being honest with her and what he expects in a relationship, right? And it's fine to not have reconcilable differences. That happens in relationships,
Yeah,
right?
and, like, it may, again, just be that this relationship has run its course, and she should find a partner who's more aligned with her goals, because my concern is it seems like OP wants her to stop traveling, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is such a big part of her life. Like, again, that's not a reasonable thing. It's fine to not want to be constantly on the move, to not know when your partner is going to be going somewhere, when you've got kids to look after. But it's not fine to be like, okay, we are staying in this one spot forever and never going anywhere else.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Make a Cookie Table for My Son's Wedding? My son is marrying Wendy, and the wedding is this summer. She is not close to her own mother for multiple reasons and is pushing hard to have me fill in that gap. I'm not comfortable with it at all, especially with how hard she is pushing. She has multiple times overstepped boundaries, such as inviting herself along, discussing very personal issues, very touchy, etc. Due to these issues, we're not close, and my own daughters are not a huge fan of her. She has asked me this week if I could make her a cookie table for the wedding. It's something that the bride's own mother would do with other female relatives. This is the first time I've heard about this tradition, and I did some research. I would have to make over 1,000 cookies from scratch to feed the wedding guests. I asked my daughters if they wanted to do it, and it was a strong no. I informed her that I cannot do it. It was way too much work and I don't have the time. She told me, okay, and I thought that was that. My son called me up and said that I'm a huge jerk, that Wendy has been crying, and that I should step up. I am still refusing to do it. Am I the jerk? Edit some common questions. Did daughter-in-law tell me the number? Yes, she stated 1,000 to 1,200 cookies. What about family helping? She isn't close to her family, so her side is out. My parents are in a home, and I'm an only child. My husband has a sister, and I doubt that she wants to help. Daughters don't want to, so it would basically be on me. And just for some clarification, it does look like, according to some of the comments here, that OP is expected to hand make them all, which I think is a bit of an unreasonable request. So what do you folks think about this situation?
Yeah, I don't think OP's in the wrong for not wanting to do this. I mean, having to make by hand 1,000 to 1,200 cookies, that's a lot of time and energy and money for someone you're not close to. And there are a lot of other ways that daughter-in-law could invite OP into the wedding, like dress shopping and whatnot, that do not require a huge commitment of OP in that same way. So I feel like, first of all, daughter-in-law probably needs therapy. It sounds like there have been constant issues of overstepping boundaries. She's been invading OP's personal space, and that's not healthy and not good. And it seems like she wants OP to be a surrogate mother figure, and OP doesn't want that relationship. So I can understand not wanting to be a mother to someone else and wanting to set up boundaries and being frustrated when those boundaries get trampled.
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about boundaries on this show, and I mean, I think it's important to have boundaries, and I think it's important to enforce those boundaries. I feel bad for both Wendy and for OP in this situation. I think that Wendy, she wants a parental figure in her life. She's trying hard, and there are sometimes those types of people who they try really, really hard to be close to somebody, and it ends up they smother them, right?
Right. Well, in some families even have like very different relationships. There are very close-knit families where they talk about everything. They're very huggy. And then there are other families who are like, we do not talk about certain things. We have like physical boundaries. And it sounds like OP is more like, we have all these boundaries. We don't talk about certain things. And she's like, I want to divulge my whole life story to you. I want to, be hugging you and everything. And
yeah, it just seems like there's a lot of incompatibilities here. And I feel bad because OP, they're having those boundaries that they've established kind of trampled on. And I can understand why she would come across as kind of cold in this letter, because maybe she's kind of done with having Wendy basically stomp on those boundaries and, try to cozy up to her when she just wants some space and some time to adjust to this relationship, right? And I think it's just a lack of compatibility on a lot of levels, and I feel bad because both people have certain needs, and in this dynamic neither one are happy with how the other one is handling the situation.
Yeah, well, and the whole like expecting Obi to make it by hand too, like it just seems like such a big thing to task one person with. And I know traditionally that sounds like it's done with a lot of different people, but they don't have the family structure for that. Like, so maybe she could think of something else that doesn't require OP having to make 1,000 cookies by hand.
Yeah.
But also, it doesn't sound like they have the type of relationship that would, I mean, I like Brian a lot. He's my favorite person in the entire world. And if he was like, hey, can you make me 1,000 cookies? I would still be like, that's a pretty big ask, Brian.
Well, I mean, 1,000 cookies too, right? Because I am not a terrible baker, right? But that kind of work would take me, I could do like 300 cookies at most in a day, I think. Like that would be like my upper limit and probably like simple cookies too, right? I mean, maybe if I were to do like those pressed cookies, the shortbread pressed cookies, I could probably pump out more than 300 in a day. But I think you're really approaching like an upper limit with 300 cookies because you have to
Yeah.
bake them, you have one oven, you have to make sure it's heated, you're constantly swapping out pans, and then you have to like cool them on trays. I don't even have enough trays to cool 300 cookies for a day. It just would be a lot to do. And I can understand OP's hesitation with this if she can't commit to it because again, like that would mean if I could do 300 in a day, a generous 300 a day, it would take me 4 days at a minimum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that we're talking about all day long. This was all
Mm-hmm.
I would do in an entire day. Realistically, it would be like a week. It means I would have to take a week off from work just to make cookies.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's a huge commitment. And I can understand OP not wanting or being even able to do that, right? That's a
Yeah.
luxury she may not have. So I think that there needs to be a readjustment of expectations if
Mm-hmm.
there is going to be a cookie table. And maybe ask the men, why does it have to fall all on the
Right,
women, right?
exactly. I was gonna say, like, why isn't OP's son getting on this? You
Mm-hmm.
know, and I know he's the groom, but like, doesn't he have buddies who could make cookies? Or
Yeah. So I think that there's just this is an unfortunate situation, and I just don't think anyone's going to be happy or satisfied here. I think they all need to sit down with like a family counseling type of situation, if that would be possible, to kind of
mm-hmm.
talk about things and work through things. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she allegedly has a joke.
What do you get when you cross a computer with a turtle?
I can tell you exactly what you get when you cross a computer with a turtle. You get a moving computer, which is a little odd and a little hard to use.
A computer that comes with its own carrying case. I was kind of thinking it would be something like the world's slowest computer or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be more appropriate. It would be the world's slowest computer. And I have licorice spice. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday, Junior, folks.
Happy Friday, Junior.
Thanks so much to Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it a short poem on weddings and proposals.
Roses can be red, black, or blue. They're all still pretty, and non traditional weddings are too.
You know, I like that. I like that a lot. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.